त्वमेव सर्वं मम देवदेव त्वमेव सर्वं मम देवदेव त्वमेव सर्वं मम देवदेव.
I take immense pleasure to invite an inspiring personality, an exquisite teacher, Miss Neerja S. Raj, Faculty of Commerce Department, to express the words of welcome. Ma'am, please.
Good evening, one and all. Respected Principal Father Joshi Chiramkuri CMI, esteemed Chief Speaker CA Jacob Babu sir, Vice Principal and HOD Dr. Vorgis Anthony sir, dear teachers and other participants. Jyoti College is a constituent of Mahatma Gandhi University. The college has quickly and seamlessly adapted its learning methodology to digitally defined processes despite the uncertainties of the pandemic challenged world. We are now witnessing the last session of the ongoing national level FDP in recent trends in accounting and taxation. The sub theme of the topic in this session is input tax credit under GST regime. Let me devote my job to welcome the gathering. The keynote speaker of the evening is CA Jacob Babusa. He is the proprietor of Jacob and Associates Chartered Accountants, Kottayam. He has more than 12 years of experience in the field of auditing, income tax, company law matters, project and management consultancy. With high respect, I express a warm welcome to Jacob sir to this event. Next, our principal, Father Joshi Chiramkuri CMI, who is a committed and devoted personality. On behalf of the participants, I extend a hearty welcome, Father. I extend a cordial welcome to respected Vice Principal and HOD of Commerce, Dr. Vorgis Anthony sir, to this gathering. I also welcome the course coordinator, Thamsukuti sir, IQAC coordinator, Dr. Anu Anthony, and faculty members of Jyoti and other colleges. Once more, I welcome everyone to this memorable knowledge sharing moment. Thank you.
Thank you, Neerja ma'am. I also welcome you to this gathering. I'm profusely elated to welcome our most respected resource person for today's session, CA Jacob Babu. To speak about him, he is the proprietor of Jacob and Associates, Chartered Accountants, Kottayam, since 2011. He has got more than 12 years of experience in the field of auditing, income tax, company law matters, project and management consultancy. He has been involved in all aspects of the private practice, such as direct and indirect tax matters, service tax, sales tax, company law matters, VAT, internal audits, etc., which has provided a fair idea on the statutory requirements and compliances of an organization. So, with great delight, I invite Jacob sir for the keynote address. Sir, please.
Respected Father and all members of the organization committee and my dear participants who are coming with a great expectation with regarding the topic. So a very good evening to all of you. Thank you for the nice words, Neerja madam and Merlin. Sometimes I feel it's a bit exaggerated. However, I am very happy to hear all these things. So the topic which has been entrusted to me during this session is a very vast, very confusing, right from the day one, the GST has been implemented. So ITC, input tax credit, is a topic that's very fast, which cannot be explained in a very in an hour like this. However, I will try my level best to make all the participants who come with a great expectation to have an idea of what ITC, input tax credit, is, so that it will give you an interesting taste of the subject. As of now, all of us know that the date when GST has come into force It is 1st July 2017. Almost we are in the fourth year of implementation of GST, to be exact. Still, there are a lot of confusions. Just like a new statute, which is slowly getting used by the people who are involved in it. There are a lot of intricacies in the topic which I am going to discuss today. But I will try my level best to keep it short so that you can understand and have an idea. So let us move on to the slide. And I am so thankful to the person who is going to help me in the slide. See, input tax credit, ITC. That's an important topic. You can move to the next slide. These are the areas which I would like to touch upon today. First is what is input tax credit? Who can claim input tax credit? Then there is a blocked credit. Want to share a few thoughts on reverse charge and forward charge. Finally, exempted items. These are all the areas which I would like to brief upon to have an idea, to give you an idea, so that it will enlighten to a very vast area so that you can spend more time on it. Okay, so first of all, I would like to give for having a idea of any topic relating to a law, a statute, we must know the sections which speak about. So today I will be giving a brief overview of the sections which I am going to touch upon regarding to the input tax credit. Can you move on? There is section 16, CGST Act. I hope everybody knows. Central Goods and Service Tax Act, CGST Act. So we will be moving to section 16. Okay, move on. Then we have got section 17. Then section 18. And finally section 49. So these four sections, I will be having a discussion on section 16, section 17, section 18, section 49. Okay, please. What is input tax credit? Very important question. What is input tax credit? See, I told I have a fair practice in this area. Since it is a relatively new topic, and by bringing in GST and subsuming excise, VAT, CST, everything into GST, you can say the whole nation wants to know everything about GST. It's like the day when GST come into force, I started receiving a lot of calls. Of course, there are a lot of editorials on every newspapers about GST. Nothing is final. Everybody is giving their thoughts. So what is ITC? That's what we need to know. Okay, please move on. Can you move to the slide?
Sir, please wait. Please wait.
Okay. I hope I am audible.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So 1 minute.
That's okay. Okay, so input tax credit. I am going to break down that three-letter word into two: input tax, then credit. Credit is like, you can say, it's a prepaid expense. I hope everybody knows accounts right from 11th standard onwards. We have been hearing the word prepaid expenses, which will be shown as a current asset item. I hope everybody knows. Uh, so credit is just like a prepaid tax, which means I am paying taxes in advance to the government so that I can settle against my liability in future. Let's say I pay some in advance, I have something to pay later. So while paying something which I have to pay in later, you can deduct the amount which have been paid in advance. That is known as credit. I hope everything is clear with regard to credit. Is can be equated for an understanding purpose, strictly limited to an understanding purpose. It's like an advance amount. Okay. So what is an advance amount? Advance of input tax paid. So what is input tax? Just see, the definition is very, uh, I don't know how about you, but it entertains me, because see how does it function? Like, it comes in section 2 within bracket 60, 2 clause 60. They have seen means, includes, excludes. They've used three words. And these term, I would like to elaborate a little bit. And the slides I have prepared in detail, so you can have a just a view after the session. You will get a clear idea of having it uh, read once more. So input tax, it includes, it's in a tax payable under forward charge, then tax payable under reverse charge, which means whenever I buy something, I will pay tax. Okay, that is a tax payable under forward charge. But that tax is paid to the seller. There are two parties: buyer, seller. Buyer buys goods, he pays tax to the seller, seller remits the tax to the government. That is known as forward charge, which means the seller is just a pipeline. He collects the tax from the buyer and he remits the tax to the government. So seller is the person who is collecting tax and paying it to the credit of government. So such a tax mechanism is called forward charge. However, there are other cases also. Instead of requiring or instructing the seller to collect tax and pay, government can fix certain buyer to pay tax directly to the government. Which means when I buy certain goods, instead of paying tax to the seller, I can pay tax to the government directly in certain cases. That is known as reverse charge. So there are two taxes: taxes payable under forward charge, then taxes payable under reverse charge. Okay, and I also encourage, if anybody has some short questions in between, you can use the chat box. Let me know so that I can clear it on the way. If anybody needs any help with regard to that. Okay, then this input tax includes IGST also. So GST includes four sets of taxes. One is CGST, which means you pay tax, central government receive it. Second one is SGST, you pay tax, state government gets it. Third one is UTGST, you pay tax, union territory gets it. Delhi, Pondicherry, like that, union territories, they will get a fair amount of tax. Finally, IGST. IGST, when you pay towards IGST, I can say for the time being, both state government and central government will get a share of it. So that is CGST, SGST, UTGST, and IGST. So which means taxes which are paid in advance, like an advance, like a prepaid expense. Such taxes can be CGST, SGST, UTGST, and IGST. Such taxes can be paid by the seller after collecting it from the buyer, or it can be paid by the buyer directly to the government, reverse charge and forward charge. And this input tax does not include composition tax. Since I am already dealing with a vast topic, composition tax, if I am going to elaborate, it will take another 1 hour. So I will keep it short. What is composition tax? Which means it's a scheme which has been made available to small traders and manufacturers, which means they can pay tax out of their pocket. They can't collect it from the buyer. They can't, uh, they are not supposed to issue a tax bill showing the tax amount and collect it from the buyer. They are not supposed to do. They have to pay it out of their pocket. Now, during this time, I would like to thrust upon one thing. Generally, indirect taxes means the taxes which are indirect. That means one who pays indirect taxes does not feel the pain of paying taxes. He just collects and pay taxes. That's all. Composition tax is an exemption. He feels the pain, but it's a very small amount. He doesn't have to appoint a chartered accountant. He doesn't have to appoint a GST consultant. He doesn't have to have an expertise in handling the payment of GST. Very simple form of taxation given to smaller taxpayers who are covered under GST. So that's what about composition tax. So whenever I am purchasing an item from a composition taxpayer, I am not going to pay any tax. Therefore, the taxes which is paid by the composition supplier cannot be taken as input tax credit. That's what I'm saying. Hope it's clear. Input tax. What does it mean? Okay, let's move on. There are certain terms. I have given a definitive side to this, taken the definition from the act so that you can have a view while I'm explaining. What is capital goods? Simple, fixed assets. To be easy to grasp, we can call it as a fixed assets. So, capital goods means the goods which has been capitalized in the books of accounts, which means fixed assets are capitalized in the books of accounts. Now, the second limb, the second part of capital goods, let's see, used or intended to be used. Used or intended to be used, which means it should be used in business. It should be used in business, which means we often, let's say in my case, I am a chartered accountant in practice. I bought an AC. Okay, I am not using it for my office. Since my office and my home are at the same place, you can say they are at the same place. So AC is used for my personal purpose. Even though it's a fixed asset, it is not intended to be used in course or furtherance of business. Therefore, it cannot be called as a capital goods. Please move on. So capital goods, in short, can be termed as fixed assets. Yeah. Another important term, inputs. You might have been well versed with the costing part. I hope everybody know a bit about costing. Okay. See, to give a fair idea of GST, in order to have a grasp on GST, you need to know accounts, you need to know costing, you need to have a bit idea of financial management. Then only you can tax plan under GST. Luckily, I was more interested in problem papers in my first phase of my career when I was a student. And after being into practice, I focused on this taxation part. So for me, the basics have been are derived from the problem papers, so I can apply into the GST. Okay, so input means anything other than fixed assets. You can call a raw material as an input. You can call an indirect material as an input. Everything which is not capitalized and which is put it into the profit and loss account, trading account, can be termed as inputs. Please move on. Then input service. So what is input service? Let's assume you are a businessman and you have to engage an auditor, a chartered accountant like me, for auditing the books, for examining the books, and you have to pay some amount. So that amount paid will be called as input services. Let's say audit fees, let's say repairs and maintenance, AMC, like that can be called as input service. When I gone through the definitive part, you might be seeing a common word used or intended to be used by a supplier in course or furtherance of business. That is the catchy part. That's the key part. That is the, you can say, the crux of the three definitions which we are going through. One is input, capital goods, input service. Let's say capital goods will be shown in the balance sheet under fixed assets. Input and input service will form part of trading profit and loss account. Inputs will be raw material, direct material, indirect material. Services like audit fees, electricity charges, repairs and maintenance, accounting charges, rent, uh, advertising, everything will be categorized under input service. Okay. Common myths about input tax credit. Okay. The person who have been introducing us have used the word seamless while talking about the programs. So when I heard the word seamless, that same word seamless has been used in GSC. Credit is seamless, which means without any obstruction, without any block, you can take credit. That word has been used by the government in all the literatures relating to GST, apart from the bare acts, apart from the statute. So that has created a confusion. Okay, so let's move on the myth. These are wrong conclusions derived about ITC. First, input tax credit available for all GST taxpayers. One early morning, I got a call from one of my client. He is just a salaried person. He is going to buy a motor car. And he said, sir, I'm going to pay GST. Can I take credit? So I have to say it's no. Input tax credit is not available for GST taxpayers. So let's take it very seriously at this point. To any person who is going to ask something about input tax credit, you have to bear in mind that input tax credit is not available to all, which means even if I go to a restaurant, I pay some tax on the food items which I have purchased. If I go to a textile shop, I purchase some shirt, purchase some clothing for my relatives, and I pay tax. Am I eligible? Not at all. They are subject to certain conditions. So it's not available for all GST taxpayers. Anybody who ends up in paying GST won't be allowed to take credit. So it's not available for all GST taxpayers. Let's move on. Second, on everything which I purchase, on every item which I purchase, can I take input tax credit? Okay, today I got a call from one of my clients. He's going to purchase a TV and he wants to put it in his home. And he asked, can I take credit by purchasing the TV in the name of the business? And can I take credit? Not possible. So input tax credit is not available for all goods and services. So two important matters that has to be borne in mind while going through the input tax credit. First of all, it is not available for all. Second, GST paid on all goods and services is not available as ITC. So when I move on to take ITC, I found out my client's joy gets reduced and reduced and reduced, which means everything is not available as credit. It's not simple as it is thought to be. It's very delicate. It has to be done by complying with certain conditions. So these are the two myths about GST. Okay, fine. Who can claim input tax credit? I told not everybody. All taxpayers. See, we are the final consumer. I know all the participants who are attending today's program are the final consumers. We end up paying GST for some sort of item or some sort of service at every point of time. Let's say once in every 2 days, we purchase something, we pay GST on. Can I take it as an advance? Can I claim ITC? That's a question. So, government has prescribed who can claim input tax credit. Let's move on. So, this is with regard to eligibility and conditions. Section 16 prescribes what are the eligibility, what are the conditions for taking input tax credit. Just as degree or a 12th pass is a mandate for certain courses, GST has prescribed certain requirements for taking input tax credit. So we will have a brief view of what are the eligibility and conditions. I am in short of time to explain everything in detail. So I will give a brief view, then I move on to the next topic. Okay. Yeah, please move on. First of all, I should have a registration under GST. That is one important thing. Many of them might have heard I should have a valid GST number. See, PAN is a registration number for income tax, permanent account number. Like that, GSTIN is a registration number for GST. So, in order to claim credit, I have to get a registration. Very important. Only registered person can take input tax credit. Okay. I hope I am audible. In case I am not audible, please let me know. Okay, let's move on. Secondly, these have been already discussed. First of all, I am a registered person. Secondly, the goods and services which I am purchasing. See, purchases is not the word GST uses. Inward supply. They use the word inward supply. So whenever you think about GST, GST does not use the word sale, purchase, something like that. They use the word, a very vast and a wider term, supply. So I am availing these goods and services for an inward supply, like purchases. So it is used or intended to be used in course of furtherance of business. I bought an AC. If I have affixed that AC in my cabin where I am dealing with my clients, it is used in furtherance of business. However, if I use it in my home, in my bedroom, it is not used in course of furtherance of business. So, second mandate for claiming ITCs, it should be used for business purpose. Okay. Yeah, please. Now let's see. I should have a tax paying document. Okay. Now, these are just basic thoughts. Whenever you visit a shop, whenever you go to an establishment, a business premises, and you are purchasing some item, find out what is the document they are issuing. It's an invoice. If they are collecting taxes from me, it should be a tax invoice. Very important. It should be a tax invoice. Okay. That tax invoice should contain the GST number of that entity. See, I will tell you an example. In brief, the GST has come in place July 1st, 2017. Almost all the states, majority of the population, majority of the taxpayers who have been paying sale tax, service tax, excise under the earlier tax regime, they are not well versed with the formalities of GST. So they were not knowing. Even in Tamil Nadu, that time Jayalalitha has passed away. So there was a situation where, with regard to who will be the chief minister itself, once the chief minister is not decided, how will the GST be decided? So the theatres, remember, this has been in news. Somebody might be on the news of this topic. The theatres collected GST also and the erstwhile taxes also, which means close to 50% in the first few days. Then only they understood that after GST, you don't have to collect this. So they have got a confusion. So I visited a shop in the early 2070s, immediately after the GST has come into place. I purchased my provisions from a supermarket. He gave me an invoice. It shows clearly the taxes which are being collected. Fine. But when I perused the invoice, the GST number of the supermarket is missing. I asked, what is this? Where is the GST number? Then normally people loves to play when a question has been put before them. And by looking at their face, you know that they already knew it. But they can't admit because it's a grave offense. So he said, I have not taken registration. It's a software error. It's a software error. So I asked, which software you're using? So they told one name of software vendor. And so then I said, if you don't have a GST number, how can you collect tax from me? Because the taxes which you have collected from me has to be paid to the government. And he told there is no such requirement there. Think about in the first few phases, the government has lost a lot of revenue in such a way. So whenever you pay tax, you should have a valid tax paying document. Secondly, there should be a receipt of goods and services. You know, the Kerala become the first state to have a fair idea of GST at the outset because the other states are very slow. So the first GST fraud was detected in Kerala itself. So we can be famous for the nice matters and also the notorious things which we are in. Okay. So the first GST fraud was unearthed in Kerala. So why did this happen? So the positive thing is that they have understood the law much better than the others. The other people doesn't know the nuances of the GST. Then how can they commit a fraud? They will commit mistakes. Fraud is something which is known and manipulated and everything. So without receiving the goods and services, fake bills can be issued. So in order to claim ITC, I have to receive goods and services. Third one is a draconian provision. What is a draconian provision? Which means it puts the person who wants to take credit, the person who has actually purchased goods and services, to see that the person who has sold goods to him has paid taxes. How is it possible? The government has put this. Little bit I would like to say, we are a non-tax compliant nation, which means if you visit US, Canada, Australia, even the persons from India who are residing there, they boast that they are paying taxes. They say that I am a taxpayer of so and so state outside India. But such culture doesn't come here. It's like the person is going to have a heart attack When I say him pay some taxes, he cries, he faints. The different emotions of a taxpayer can be seen in India when it comes to pay taxes from their pocket. Okay, so it's not the case there. There they boast that they're a taxpayer. The culture has to be changed first before imposing this draconian provision. That's what my gut feeling is. I'm not against the government. See, when I say I purchased goods, I have a bill. Now they are saying that I have to say to my seller, please pay taxes. Then only I can take credit. So it's like a draconian provision. Third one, actually fourth one, the return has to be filed. Okay. Now, every point ITC is a, you can say it's a gambit of the other topics covered under GST. So you need to have a grip of all the other topics before having a closer watch, closer idea, closer understanding of ITC. So what is return? You have heard about income tax return. You have heard about GST return. Any idea? How you ask somebody, what do you mean? What is the meaning of return? Return is an information furnished in a prescribed form by the taxpayer to the government. That is known as return. So in order to claim ITC, I have to furnish return. Okay, please move on. Reverse charge and forward charge I have already explained. We'll, for a few seconds, I will display the slide. You can have the chart and let's go on. Please move on. What is reverse charge and forward charge? Yeah, please move on. I have already discussed. Yeah, this one you can see the chart which I am showing. Yeah, please click on. There is a supplier, there is a receiver. See, first one, forward charge. Receiver pays GST to the supplier pays GST to the government. Now, in reverse charge, you can note that instead of the supplier, there is a receiver who is paying GST to the government. Okay, so I hope forward charge, reverse charge, you may have come across the taxation paper in the degree or post graduation course which you have been. So these areas you might be aware. Okay, now please move on. Okay, electronic commerce operator, he is also a taxpayer. Supplier has to pay tax in almost all circumstances. Certain situations, government has imposed the responsibility to pay tax on the recipient. And third one is e-commerce operator. Now, this is not an area that has to be covered under ITC. So I will just go in brief. What is an e-commerce operator? Amazon is an e-commerce operator. Uber is an e-commerce operator. Ola is an e-commerce operator. Trivago is an e-commerce operator. Make My Trip is an e-commerce operator. They connect suppliers and recipients together. So where an e-commerce operator is in place, instead of the supplier paying tax, instead of the recipient paying tax, e-commerce operator has to pay tax. So that's all. So three categories of persons are paying tax. One is supplier, second is recipient, third one is e-commerce operator. Yeah, please move on. Yeah, this all have been explained. You can move on. Yeah, please move on. Another important topic, exempt supply. Exempt supply. At this junction, I have to say there are two types of supply. Do not, in fact, three types of supply. Taxable supply, you have to pay GST on that. Shortly before, I have spoken about inward supply. Purchases can be equated to inward supply. Sales can be equated to outward supply. Okay, sales can be equated to outward supply. These outward supply can be categorized into three. One is exempt supply. Second one is taxable supply. Third one is non-taxable supply. Non-taxable supply is easy to understand, which are outside the gambit of GST, which are outside the ambit of GST. Okay, ambit. Means now the hue and cry, petroleum petrol and diesel has to be included under GST. As of now, sales tax, excise is levied on petrol and diesel. Now, the hue and cry is about including such supplies in GST. The petrol and diesel, for the time being, you can call as non-taxable supply. Non-taxable supply. Now, taxable supply means if I sell something, I have to pay GST. Exempt supply means I have to pay GST, but government has given me exemption, or government has said it is a nil rate of taxation. Have you heard about such supplies? Go to a hospital. It's not nice to say that go to a hospital, but let's go to a hospital. You just have a consultation from the doctor. They give a bill. Do they collect GST from us? No, it's an exempt supply. Okay, go to an education institution, like a college or something like that. You pay the fees, tell them to give the bill or the receipt. Do they collect GST? It's an exempt supply. So hospital, basic essential services are given exemption under. That is known as exempt supply. That is known as exempt supply. Okay, please move on. So exempt supplies, a little bit elaborate I have done, but I hope you have got what you mean by an exempt supply. You have to ask this question: tax is payable? Yes. Has the government given any exemption? Yes. Or has the given prescribed a rate that is nil? Yes. That is known as exempt supply. Okay, please move on. Okay, you can move on. Okay. So exempt supply. When you say exempt supply, see, education institutions have a lot of purchases. See, they have to buy AC, they have to buy teaching tools. Now, the COVID pandemic, due to the pandemic, the classes have been made online. The education system have been revolutionized, which means laptops, on whiteboards, everything has to be purchased. So they are paying GST on it, but they are not using it, providing for outward taxable supply. For that reason, all the items on which the school or the education institution have paid GST, that is lost. ITC is not available. So ITC is not available for making exempt outward supply. It is only available for making outward supply. So that is one thing that you have to bear in mind. Okay, I know I am covering a relatively vast topic, a very new topic, a very confusing topic. Some of the terms you are maybe hearing for the first time, or you might have heard for the first time some time ago, but there are a lot of intricacies. You need to read at least a business newspaper to have an idea. Okay, that will improve our vocabulary and also the GST's nuances, so that you will have a fair idea of what is happening. You have to restrict yourself not reading the basic newspapers. That has to be limited, because much more important for our curriculum will be the business things, because we are all in the business field. You can have some time, because I am more interested in the sports. Still, I now shy away from such news, not spending that much time, because the time is very less. I have to focus on more important matters. Now, very important topic. Officially, this will be the last topic. Uh, the blocked credits, which means you can pay GST, you can buy, you can have a registration number, you have the eligibility and conditions for taking ITC. But government says you can't take ITC. Very funny, very heartbreaking section, section 17.5. Once you come to this section, you will have to acknowledge the fact that all the promises which have been made in the outset have been depleting to a very short list. First of all, they say seamless credit. Secondly, they say one nation, one tax. Thirdly, they say uh, the cost will be less. But when you move on to the blocked credit, okay, you will find out that lot of items which are the major source of expenditure on which the majority of the GST have been paid are not allowed as credit. So let's move on. I will give you a list. Registered person is not eligible to take. It means section 17(5) lists out certain goods and services which are blocked, which means even if I pay taxes, I am not allowed to take credit. So you will ask, so should I not pay tax? No, you have to pay tax, but you can't take credit. So which means you have registration, you have the conditions, everything, but section 17 say you can't take credit. Let's see. Okay. Yeah. See, first one, general thought. All purchases for personal consumption won't be available. Very important. The goods and services which are used for personal consumption not available as credit. Secondly, you must understand where the input services are used and the final product is an immovable property. Such items are not available as credit. There is an exclusion to this plant and machinery. So which means factory, plant and machinery, even though it is made immovable, you can claim credit. However, factory building, I purchase cement, I purchase steel, I purchase a lot of goods, I engage the services of a works contractor, I engage the services of an architect. All of these services I will be end up paying in taxes, but I can't take credit. Even if I'm a business person, even if I'm a registered person, even if I have a tax paying document, even if I have received the goods, everything conditions fulfill, but they are blocked under section 17(5). So lot of sections I have gone through over a short span of time. Very important section that should be embedded in our memory. That is section 17(5). It should be engraved so that any person who asks in the midnight, you should end up paying section 17(5), block credit. Reason, if you don't know the section, you might forget that the credit is blocked. There are areas where the credit is blocked, but you should have an idea what is happening under section 17(5). So, immovable property, no credit. Personal consumption, no credit. This is just an intro. Let's move on. I have made in vast, but I will focus on important matters due to the paucity of time, lack of time. See, motor vehicles, very important. See, I am a chartered accountant. I need a motor car to travel, to meet clients, to go to the client day office, to audit the books of accounts. I am using it for business. Still, motor vehicle, if I purchase and if I pay GST, I am not eligible for credit. This is one myth even the dealers pass on to their customers. Okay, many of the clients, while they go to purchase car, business clients, the outset in the beginning, I saw the non-business clients, salaried person, teachers, everywhere. Now, this I am saying is the business person who are registered under GST, they are given a wrong misconception, wrong notion that the motor vehicle which they are going to pay by paying GST, they can take it as credit. Not available as credit. Very important. Secondly, the most important thing, food and beverages. Okay. Outdoor catering, health services, other services, not possible, not eligible as credit. Works contract services, very important. Anyway, if I am going to build a house, sorry, not purchase, build a house for my personal purpose, for There has been an internet interruption in between. I hope I am audible. Can somebody say that whether I am audible or
Yes,
not?
yes, yes, yes,
Okay.
yes, audible.
Sorry for the interruption. Madam, I am having 10 minutes more, right?
No problem, sir. No
Okay.
problem.
Yeah, but I have to consider the audience also. They might not end up in sleeping. So, uh, works contract service. So, I am sad, definitely sad, if I purchase cement, end up in paying taxes. Very sad to find out that I construct for residential purpose. I am not eligible for credit. Contract also, if end up paying taxes, I am not eligible for credit. But what makes me more sad, more dejected, more angry at the government is I'm going to purchase or construct an office building purely for business, cement, contractor, architect, everything. Now, when I'm saying, can I take credit? Government says no. So, that is a very delicate area government need to consider. So, works contract service is like a contractor who are engaged. So, at this outset, works contract services. I hope somebody, very few, have an idea of what you mean by works contract service. See, I am paying for the work done, which means that includes materials and labor. If I go to a cement shop, purchase cement, he is a trader. However, if I engage a contractor, he supplies cement, he supplies labor, he is a works contractor. So, where a material and labor portion is included in the value of contract, that will be termed as works contract. Then you will ask, sir, how will you understand? How will you identify a works contract? By looking at their rates. They will say per square feet 500 rupees, 2000 rupees. That includes materials and labor. So that is the one way to identify whether what's contract service. Self construction means not engaging a contractor. I am purchasing materials, I am purchasing goods, and I am constructing. Not at all available. Okay, please move on. This I have already told. Composition may be not possible. Okay. Non-resident taxable person. See, non-resident taxable person. Just want to be sharing a few minutes uh, on this topic. Who is a non-resident taxable person? You can say that it's a person who has a place of business outside India, occasionally comes to India, sells something and then leave. Okay, so their main business place will be outside India, but he comes not regularly, once in a blue moon, or comes once in a year, maybe 3 or 4 times a year, and comes and sells person. That such person cannot take credit. They have to pay tax on supplies in cash only. In cash only. They can't deduct the taxes paid earlier and settle the net liability. Okay. So the other one is inward supplies used toward person consumption. Then free samples, gift, goods. This all will affect the genuine business people who gives samples, who gives gift, or their goods are lost or stolen. See, government has to come with a fresh amendment, at least for the COVID scenario. Lot of establishments are closed. Their goods are lost or damaged. And government is saying that you can't take credit on that. Look at the fuss which will be creating on top. Already they are suffering huge losses. So there should be a proactive government who should go in detail to see what are the real difficulties faced by the taxpayer. Finally, fraud cases, confiscation, you end up paying taxes, you can't take credit. Which means this happens normally in jewelry. See, you know that in jewelry, not saying, not excluding anybody. If we all goes to a jewelry shop, if you purchase some gold, we will say two rates. Is it so? Without bill, how much? With bill, how much? And we will ultimately settle for without bill because that is less expensive. Okay. Uh, so uh, this one, like that, a business person purchases a gold from another business person, and he was traveling without a bill. But due to his bad luck, a GST officer intercepts his vehicle, find out that he has not paid tax and he is transporting goods. He end up paying taxes. Very important. Now, it's an inward supply. He paid some tax. Such taxes can be taken as credit. No, because it has been taxes paid in fraud cases, detention, confiscation. Okay, please move on. These are, I have just made it more elaborate, but let's say motor vehicles and other conveyances are not eligible. Insurance, servicing, repairs and maintenance done on such motor vehicles which are blocked under GST not available. Okay, please. Okay, you can just skip this slide. Please move on. Yeah, please move on. I just explained what is motor vehicle and all. Yeah, that also I have discussed. Motor vehicles, vessels, aircrafts. These are all blocked. Motor vehicles, vessel, aircraft. Okay. Reliance, Ambani brothers. Okay, you can exclude that brother which has become insolvent. The other person, Mukesh, they have vessels and aircraft also. Okay. Just as we come to our home by car, they come to home by aircraft only. Okay. So they purchase aircraft, use it for business purpose because they have lot to travel, lot to save on time, but they can't claim credit. Okay. Yeah, please. Motor vehicles for transportation. Yeah, please move on. These are all I have made it more elaborate. But however, I would like to thrust one point. 13% still uh, having more seating capacity of not more than 13% are only blocked. If the transportation of passengers is more than 30, you can claim credit. If the motor vehicles are bought for further sale, for further leasing, for further driving, conducting driving schools, there you can take credit. Yeah, please move on. You can skip that vessels and aircraft, not that much important. If I have time, I will explain. That's what I thought. Just skip that slides. You can move on. I have shared the slide. Anybody who needs can approach Anu madam and get it. It will be useful for you to, some of might be going for an interview in taxation or something. It might get useful. Okay. But remember, uh, GST is subject to rapid amendments. So that these amendments which keep on changing. So if I teach you something like this, I get up tomorrow morning to find a new amendment has come. Okay, so close to more than 300 amendments every year has coming in GST. Okay, so they are also learning how to draft this. So that has to be kept in mind, but you will have an idea. Okay, please move on. At this outset, I would like to say motor vehicles used for transportation of passengers are blocked, but motor vehicles used for transportation of goods are not blocked. Okay, so that is somewhat a relief to the taxpayer, to the business person. They can use it for transportation of goods. Uh, how any book publisher get tax credit? If the book publisher uh, say supplies outward taxable supply. Majority of the books are exempt, so which means if they end up paying in taxes on inward supply, they won't get credit. However, there are some books on which tax is payable. Let's say I bought minutes book for some of my clients for preparing the minutes. You might be aware of the Companies Act and all. So that is a big bound book. So they end up paying GST. I have to also pay GST. So I can take credit. So like that situation, they can take credit. Okay. Please move on. General insurance, servicing, repairs and maintenance, no credit. Motor vehicle, if you see that it is blocked, these all things are blocked. Okay. Uh, let's move on. Please move on. Yeah. Leasing, renting, hiring of motor vehicles or aircraft on which ITs is not allowed. So there also credit is not applicable. See that whether the motor vehicle is eligible for credit. If it is yes, then you lease. There also you can take credit. Instead of purchasing, I can lease motor vehicle. There also you can take credit. Okay, please. You can skip. Okay. So remember, as a business person, don't ever think that you can take credit on food and beverages. Okay. You can't take credit. Outdoor catering, health services, other services, you can't uh, take credit. Okay, so that's very important. That has been explained in the coming slides. Let's skip that slide also. With their cosmetic, plastic surgery, life insurance, health insurance, these are all personal nature. Not there can be fashion companies who are engaging lot of artists to end for a fashion show, to go for a fashion show. So they can have a beauty treatment. For them, my view is that they should take credit. They should be allowed to take credit. As of now, they are not allowed to take credit. Okay. So plastic surgery, life insurance, health insurance, on which GST is paid, even though I am a registered person, I am not eligible for credit. Okay, please. This I have explained in detail. So let's skip the slide. Works contract service for construction. So I have given you an example and all. Let's move on. Self construction also I answer. Self construction okay. So uh, yeah, you can skip that slide also. Conversation levy I have already told. I have made the slides a bit more elaborate so you can go through it. Okay, please. This also I have been discussed. Yeah, this also I have discussed. Yeah, that I was told. Personal consumption I told. This is one important thing. End users, they are not allowed to take free samples. Okay. They are not free samples. This also I have told. It's a very vast topic. You have to devote more time, but my objective is to just have a view so that you can work on these slides. It gives value addition and all. Okay, please move on. This also I told. fraud cases, detention. I have given you an example and all. Yeah. So, any questions? Just I have surpassed the time, so I'm sorry. I should keep it under 7. And any doubt, you can leave a message in the chat box if you have doubt, anything like that. I think I have replied to one doubt somebody has asked. The greatest effect or negative of a Malayali student is that they don't ask questions. If we move to other states, they'll end up asking a lot of doubts. So I encourage everybody to ask doubts. Not today. I am very happy of not receiving any questions, but you should ask questions so that everything will get clear. So thank you so much for giving me an opportunity to present the topic on ITC. Um, Thank you all the members who organized the meeting. Looks like you have a wonderful session of the last 5 days. I hope persons who attended have got lot. Uh, they have become more informative. So thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you, sir. We are so thankful to our Honorable Resource Person, CA Jacob Babu, for his presence and precious words of knowledge. So, in this occasion, to express a token of love to our resource person, I invite Dr. Anu Anthony, NARC, and IQAC coordinator. Ma'am, please.
Thank you so much.
As a token of love and appreciation, we would like to present certificates to those who work hard for the successful completion of this program. I request Dr. Anu Antony, Assistant Professor of Jyoti College of Management and Technology, the Organizing Secretary of this FDP, and also the IQAC Coordinator of KCMT to present the certificate. First of all, Mr. Vivek V. Vijayan, Assistant Professor of Postgraduate Department of Commerce, Jyoti College, and also the Research Club Coordinator, for all his wholehearted support as a moderator of this program. Vivek,
Thank you,
please.
Miss. Thank you, Miss. Thank you so much.
All the technical support for our program was given by two of our postgraduate students. I request Mr. Justin Joseph to collect the certificate from Dr. Anu Antony. I also request Mr. Ajay Varghese to receive the certificate. All these 5 days, the comparing for our program was done by our BCom students. I request all of them to collect the certificate of appreciation. First of all, Chinmay Shankar,
Thank you, ma'am.
Avani S. Pillai,
Thank you, Miss.
Anima Krishna,
Thank you, miss.
R. Devapriya,
Thank you, ma'am.
and Merlin James.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
This marks the end of the national level faculty development program on the topic Recent Trends in Accounting and Taxation. Let us end the event with our national anthem. Words of gratitude are indispensable for this occasion. Now, I would like to invite Ms. Tushara Sojan, Faculty of Commerce and NAC IQAC Coordinator, to deliver the vote of thanks. Ma'am, please.
A very good evening to you all. Being grateful is a trait that we need to inculcate into ourselves, then only this life becomes meaningful for a large extent. India is a land where guest is considered as an akin to God. So showing gratitude to a guest that we should cultivate in our public functioning without an iota of doubt. First of all, I express my gratitude to God Almighty for all His blessings throughout our session. I express my sincere gratitude to the management of Christujoti Group, especially our principal Reverend Father Joshi Chiramkuri CMI and Dr. Varghese Anthony, Vice Principal and Head of the Department of Postgraduate Department of Commerce. The person behind this program, the one who organized and there in every nook and corner who always search for perfection. Without her, this won't be happened. I express my heartfelt gratitude to Dr. Anu Antony, Assistant Professor, Postgraduate Department of Commerce, IQAC Coordinator, and the Organizing Secretary of this program for all your hard work and effort. Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate the cooperation shown to us by IQAC Kottayam chapter, especially CA Prashant Srinivas, ICAI Kottayam chapter chairman, and CA Prem Sebastian, ICAI Kottayam chapter secretary, and also to the eminent resource persons who were with us for the last 5 days. Thank you, CA Amal Paul, CA Biju VR, CA Nithinan, CA Srirak Ramachandran, and also CA Jacob Babu. It's your knowledge and hard work that makes this session fruitful. I express my gratitude to Mr. Vivek Vivijayan, Assistant Professor, Postgraduate Department of Commerce, who sincerely worked hard for the successful completion of this program as the moderator. I also thank Mr. Justin Joseph and Ajay Varghese, who were the technical advisor for this program. I express my gratitude to our BCom students Chinmay Shankar, Avani S. Pillai, Anima Krishna, Devapriya, and Merlin James, who did comparing for all these 5 days. We are overjoyed by the presence of a flurry of participants of 415 in this program. They all have proven their mettle in different field and domain of life. I express my gratitude to each and everyone. Our upcoming event is National Webinar Series on the topic Research Methods and Techniques on September 1st to September 5th. I welcome you all for the same. Once again, thank you so much.
Let us end the event with our national anthem. Once again, thanking all dear participants. Good night.